My name is Alistair Robertson, and I'm a member of Alzheimer's New Zealand's advisory group. We are people living with dementia, either living with a diagnosis ourselves or supporting someone close to us. We work closely with Alzheimer's New Zealand, providing advice and guidance on a range of issues and making sure the voice of people living with dementia remain at the centre of all we do. We feel valued and part of life when we are heard. The same is true for people with dementia. I'd like to share a quote from Norman Cousins. Death is not the greatest loss in life. The greatest loss is what dies inside us while we live. On behalf of the group, I am delighted today to introduce our session, which has the theme of hope at its heart. We want to share with you how we found hope after getting a diagnosis of dementia. Sure, we experienced a range of emotions like anger and despair, but we have held on to hope. You will meet Helen, Jenny, Rose, Vicky, and Fiona. And at the end, we will have a brief period for quiet reflection as we think about what we have heard during this conference and the messages of hope that people living with dementia have conveyed. Thank you for listening.
My name is Helen. I'm an 85-year-old Catholic sister and was diagnosed with Alzheimer's in 2017. In 2014, I had received treatment for bladder cancer and was warned that this could happen. I scored 26 out of 30 on the initial memory test. To rule out any other cause for the score, my GP arranged for blood and urine tests, along with a brain scan, and suggested another memory test in 3 months. By then, my score was 22 out of 30. The scan, blood and urine tests showed no abnormalities. He diagnosed dementia of the Alzheimer's type. My GP strongly urged me to consider moving closer to town and to give up driving as soon as possible. He also suggested I visit my local Alzheimer's Society, which I did with my longtime friend Maxine the same day. Within 6 months, I had moved closer to town into a supported living situation with other older people and sold my car. I can now walk to most places and use driving Miss Daisy for longer trips. Maxine supported me before diagnosis and continues to do so, which I find extremely helpful. Since my diagnosis, the deficits I'm aware of are not obvious to most people. I still live independently at home. The local Alzheimer's Society are very supportive, and I have weekly outings with groups of people in varying stages of dementia. I see this as a gentle way of educating me about what to expect from my Alzheimer's. Because I'm physically fit, I don't need medication and continue my daily fitness program. My GP didn't follow up my dementia for deterioration and offer any support he thought necessary. Upon Maxine's advice, I initiated this. In preparation, Maxine helped me list the things that have changed for me since my diagnosis. We noted the things that I can still do to keep my brain active, such as social games like Scrabble, Mahjong, cards, several times a week. I particularly enjoy the social aspect of these and continue my voluntary work and interests in handcrafts. My GP found the list a helpful point of discussion. One of the key issues for me is being in groups where there is a lot of noise and chatter. The doctor wondered if increased deafness could be the issue rather than dementia. A hearing test showed that it wasn't. I'm no longer confident to use my mobile phone or my camera. He wondered if a smartphone could assist. this was not the case, so these are no longer options for me. Speaking to my GP was valuable for me because he assessed my dementia and offered ideas for maintaining my independence for longer. I feel fortunate to have a good GP and a very supportive friend.
Hi, I'm Jenny, and my connection to the Alzheimer's Advisory Group is through my husband Godfrey, who was diagnosed with young onset Alzheimer's at the very young age of 58 back in 2015. At that time, he was working for a large construction company in Wellington, and now, today, he lives in a care home approximately 10 minutes down the road from where I live. When we're not in lockdown, I visit him every day, usually in the evening. He's no longer mobile, and there are rare occasions now when he speaks or smiles. But when he smiles, he lights up the room. I want to talk to you about how we as a family have made lemonade out of this lemon called dementia. I won't minimise the gravity of the disease, nor will I glorify the privilege of loving someone who lives with Alzheimer's. What I can do, though, is tell you some stories which have lightened our heavy hearts when things get tough. The first lesson is don't go hunting for the life lesson you're being dealt. I promise you, you will definitely learn lots from this journey. You don't need to angst over what it is. It'll come to you. And when the lessons do come to you, greet them with a thank you. There will be a gem in there somewhere for you to find. I think the most memorable story I can share in regard to this strategy is the day that I was driven to apply for individualised funding for Godfrey, following a particularly fraught week with the care services and support systems, which had actually created more work for me rather than relieving it this particular week. Had this not happened, I might never have explored the possibilities which eventuated in us being able to resource in-home care for Godfrey, which was far better tailored to his needs and which allowed him to remain at home for as long as possible. The second strategy I want to share with you is about letting your children, your family, and your friends support you. Over the last 6 years, I have learnt what amazing children we have. They've grown up and I don't need to protect them anymore. They can handle this and they want to be involved. I know I'm a control freak and I know that no one can care for Godfrey the way I do. But others can care for him the way they do. And often he will respond differently to their different style. It took me too long to let others, including our friends, into this part of our world. I thought I needed to protect the way we were instead of sharing the way we are now. And finally, when the time comes for care out of home, you get to be a partner again instead of being a full-time caregiver. I remember how gentle the care staff were at the village and how they firmly but professionally coaxed my grip from his care tasks. I had my lists and I wore my self-righteous, I know best cape with pride. But they had my number and they moved me back to a place of being his wife while they did all the tough bits. It creeps back in every so often, but even Godfrey, bless him, has enough capacity left to still take care of me. I'd been going to the village recently every evening to feed him, but this was before lockdown, to feed him his dinner, and I'd begun to impose this expectation on myself. So when I didn't get there on time, I was arriving at the village tense, and Godfrey could obviously feel this. This was especially present more recently as his eating had become laboured and it was actually taking about an hour. So I'd often finish feeding him and then leave. Recently, he refused to accept food from me. He actually clenched his teeth together, but he would eat for the staff. Even now, he knows better than I do what is good for me. And even now, in his limited physical capacity, he can make that happen. So these are just a few of the key lessons and strategies that I've learned as a carer of a loved one with Alzheimer's. And in them, I have discovered the power I have to accept the challenges, to welcome the new relationships, to let go of the control and find the joy and live in the moment. Thanks for listening. Have a great day.
It can be hard to think of those years ahead with hope. There is so much anticipatory grief at the start that lingers at times, and we don't know what lays ahead. Some moments are unimaginably tough. Some moments are full of joy. Pure joy in the moment. Precious moments of connection. Hope lives there. Dementia kept calling out to me, slow down, be present. To be committed to the energy I brought to each visit to maintain hope. Through aggression, anger, confusion, fear, late nights in hospitals and halls, she wanted to know what's happening to me. The essence of who asked the question was always there, her brain slowly fading. Was I her daughter? Her sister? A stranger? A friend? It didn't matter. I knew her. They say some people experience times of normal cognition near the end, and I feel so grateful for being present with her, for slowing down, for hope. 2 days before she died, she saw me, and it was like she hadn't seen me forever. Biggest smile just to see me. Clear as a bell, she said thank you 4 times with such deep emotion. She knew me, and I knew her. Someone down the hall was screaming out, and she said, we're all learning, all the time, and it's all good. Hearing raised voices, I said, yes, Mum, but what about all the bad stuff? And she said, even the bad stuff, it's all good.
Buying the lat back. Mum lit with Minta and waited into care.
You are doing so much for me now because I get muddled, can't remember, and need help, and I'm so lucky to have you.
It's okay, Mum. It's payback time. You look after me more yet, and now it's my turn to care for you. It's a common time now, beating that. As I visit, take Mum out and assist her in organizing life. For some years, we had a relationship of interdependence. Why we offer each other mutual support. Mum was a cook cook like saying the recipe, and I was a willing guinea pig. When we went to meeting together, I would often keep the transport. I knew that companionable time was not flat forever, and wanted what would come next. Now I am jittering that time because in supporting it, it's a way of thanking mum would say, yes, of letting care and encouragement they gave me as I was growing up. A large part of who I am today is down to mum and care of the many years. It is such a privilege and joy to buy back the life.
Dementia, Alzheimer's. Is it a death sentence or a gift? Does it bring grief or hope or both? It depends who you are. If you are the one or the whānau supporting the one. For whānau, the loss is real, the grief kicks in. Some relief, the diagnosis explains some things, a few ha-ha moments go on. For the one, they have their journey to go through, so different for each. No two journeys the same, scared, frightened, depends. Different to their loved ones too, soon to be carers, advocates, and the voice to be. Our journey. My nephew phoned me. I remember the day, where I was sitting, what I was listening to. I couldn't do anything. I listened, couldn't react. I needed to be the strong one. I was the auntie, the sister-in-law to the one, and the sister to the wife. I had to move, get away, breathe before I could do anything, for it felt like a death sentence. Terminal was my instant response. I lied to reassure, but deep down, I had little hope, no understanding. Early onset, whatever does that mean? The dread to phone my sister, who was in trauma, who was stung. The one though, he kept smiling, kept busy and reassuring. Well, that's how he presented. It was those around him that looked like grief. The one got on with it, didn't appear to be affected, moved forward, kept his brain busy, looking for new ways. The wife took care of the business, owned the feeling of loss, embarrassment and shame. The one immersed himself into understanding, then support to others, knew what he needed to do to keep his brain going, getting joy from his boys and granddaughters too, also watching them cope, or not coping at times. What do you do? Don't get me wrong, it wasn't easy for our one. Looked blankly at his wife, not understanding her pain, looking lost when she got the diagnosis of hell. Who then looks after the carer? All these things are real, everyday struggles, but when you have dementia like the one, and you feel angry, sad and scared, how do you cope with these feelings, which often come out wrong, like aggression or a blank stare? But there is hope, there is light, there is love, there is time. The one became the helper to me, loves playing board games, pulling weeds and trimming trees. I learnt about dementia, did what I could to help out too. The more I learnt, the hope I gained, the more I focused on the happy, the advocacy, and the good stories, the laughs, the humour, and what keeps the one feeling loved. The hardest part for the whānau is letting go of expectations of the dreams and goals that once were, putting the one at the centre of his care. He's the director after all. Letting go of life dreams, what life would have looked like. That space is not helpful. Don't stay there too long. It's easy to say, to type it out even, but to live it, I can't imagine. So I say with no judgment, it is best not to fight the one with dementia. It's not their fault. Dementia is a bastard. Take it out on that, not on the one. Do what you can to live your best life. Don't argue, get frustrated. The one can't remember, not their choice. Keep calm, keep loving. The carer needs help to grieve for the one. At times it feels like support is needed more for the carer, for the whānau, but there appears to be none. No time frame for healing, for accepting. It doesn't always flow at the same time as dementia is clinging on and taking over. There is the now, but also the future. Our one knows what the future can hold, made it clear to all what his wishes are, but can we even do it, achieve it? The answer is possibly no. Why does it have to be a fight? Why do the whānau have to battle for what is right? Don't worry, our one. We will fight for you, do our very best for you. We got you. Why is there not equity? Why is dementia not a priority for this government? Why is rest home the only option to become one of many? Fully aware it's about the funding they get to do their very best. Medication, restraints and loneliness. Why? Is it even the reality? Why not homes, small services, specialised person-directed support? If enabling good lives is right for the disabled community, the funding attached to individual wishes and aspirations, why is this not applied to people with dementia? It is wrong. The challenge going forward, equity. No matter the cause, fund the disability, the need, the dreams in the same way. The one has dreams, expectations and hopes. His whānau, not so much. Dementia, there is hope.